You must have experienced a coincidence that seems mysterious to you, and you still can't deal with it. For example, you and your friend may have thought the exact same thing several times in a row, or you may have said the same thing at the same time. If it happens rarely, you forget about it, but if it happens more often, it makes you think. Well, believe me, yours is probably nothing compared to what you're about to hear. If you like the video, please support me by subscribing. Thank you. The Mystery of Room 307. Kentucky, Louisville, 1953. Mr. George D. Bryson was on a business tour when he checked into the Brown Hotel. After filling in the registration form, he was given the key to room 307, which he occupied. Later, he went down to the reception because a letter has arrived for him. On the envelope, there was his name and room number 307, too. To his surprise, however, it turned out that the letter was not addressed to him, but to the previous guest in room 307, also named George D. Bryson. What are the chances of two people with the same name staying in the same room in the same hotel, probably only a day or two apart? The mysterious death of the twins. Finland, Rahe, the 6th of March 2002. The press, including BBC News, reported a strange death of a pair of Finnish identical twins, aged 70. One of the twins was killed when he was run over by a lorry while trying to cross a road on his bicycle in the village of Rahe, 600 kilometers from the capital. The other twin died just 2 hours after the death of his brother. Now, can you guess in what? Well, yes. He was also hit by a lorry while cycling, just 1.5 kilometers from where his brother was killed. According to policewoman Marja-Leena Huhtala, who was in charge of the case, it is unlikely that the other victim knew about his brother's death, as they had not been able to notify the relatives at that time. She also said that although this was a busy stretch of road, accidents were very rare.
It made my hair stand on end when I heard the two were brothers, and identical twins at that. It came to mind that perhaps someone from upstairs had a say in this,
said Ms. Huhtala. The Titanic Prediction. USA, 1898. Morgan Robertson publishes his book, a fantasy novel originally titled Futility, which later became known as The Wreck of the Titan. The book was not a major work until 14 years later, when the Titanic sank on the 15th of April, 1912. The novel began to be picked up when more and more similarities were discovered between the events in the novel and the Titanic disaster. Both stories are about the sinking of a ship. The names of the ships are also similar, as the ship in the novel was called Titan. Both ships were thought to be unsinkable. Both ships were 269 meters long. Both ships sank on their first voyage, and both were caused by an iceberg. Both ships had a shortage of lifeboats, which is partly the reason why more people were lost there than necessary. Could it be that so many matches are not a coincidence? According to a theory, the Titanic was not actually the victim of an accident, but was sunk deliberately due to an insurance fraud. In this case, it is also possible that the fraudsters relied on this novel when they planned their scheme. The Mysterious Monk. Joseph Eigner was a well-known painter in Austria in the 19th century who regularly suffered from depression and attempted suicide on several occasions. His first suicide attempt was at the age of 18. He tried to hang himself, but a mysterious monk appeared and interrupted him, so the painter survived. 4 years later, at the age of 22, he hit another low point and tried to hang himself again, but the mystical monk appeared again and prevented his death. 8 years later, he almost died because he was kidnapped for his political beliefs, but the mysterious monk appeared again and saved him. The painter then gave up trying for many years, and at the age of 68, he finally managed to shoot himself in the head. The veneration was performed by the mysterious monk whose name Eigner never knew. Matching life paths. USA, the 19th of August, 1939. In Ohio, identical twins were born, separated 3 weeks after birth, and adopted to 2 different families. These 2 families didn't know each other, didn't know anything about each other, yet both babies were given the first name Jim. Jim Springer knew that he had or has had a twin brother somewhere, so after 39 years, he decided to track him down in 1977. When the big meeting took place, they were shocked to discover strange similarities in each other's lives. They both grew up in Ohio, 45 miles apart. As children, they both had a dog, and they both named them Toy. Growing up, they both did woodworking in their own workshops. Both have also served as part-time deputy sheriffs in various Ohio counties. Both were driving Chevrolet cars. They both married a woman named Linda. Both were chain smokers. Both had an only child who they christened James Allen. The only difference was that while one spelled Allen with 2 L's, the other spelled it with 1. They both divorced a few years after their marriage. They both remarried later, and both of their new wives were called Betty. The case first came to light around 1979 and was handled by University of Minnesota psychology professor Thomas J. Bouchard, whose specialty was identical twins. The Cursed Car. USA, the 23rd of September, 1955. James Dean, Hollywood's up-and-coming young actor, loved speeding and regularly indulged his passion. When he showed his newly purchased Porsche 550 Spider to actor Alec Guinness, Guinness called the car sinister and told Dean that he would be dead in a week in this car. Exactly 7 days later, while filming the movie Giant, Dean was on his way to a car race as a recreational activity when he crashed his sports car into a Ford Custom Tudor coupe and died in hospital the same day. His mechanic, Rolf Wutherick, also traveled with him, but he escaped the accident with a broken jaw. The wreckage of the car was later bought by a man called George Barris, but when it was removed from the trailer in the workshop, the engine block fell out and crashed into the legs of one of the mechanics, shattering them. The car was eventually sold by Barris on a parts-by-parts basis. The engine and camshaft were purchased by Dr. Troy McHenry and Dr. William Eschrick, doctors and amateur racers who installed the parts into their own cars. Shortly afterwards, both cars collided in a race in California, and while Eschrick survived the crash, McHenry died of his injuries. The 2 wheels of the Porsche were bought from Barris by a young man, but the wheels that were fitted suddenly went flat at the same time and the car ended up in a ditch. The young man got away with it. Barris then decided not to sell any more parts from the Porsche to anyone, instead donating it to the California Highway Patrol, who stored the wreck in a garage until the garage burned to the ground. Miraculously, only the car escaped the fire. The vehicle was later exhibited at a secondary school in Sacramento, where it broke a student's hip when it slipped off the platform. In 1959, at another exhibition, it fell apart into 11 pieces for no apparent reason. Finally, in 1960, it was to be shipped by truck to Miami, but it never arrived because it mysteriously disappeared en route. The car was never found, although on the 50th anniversary of James Dean's death, the Volo Auto Museum put up a $1 million finder's fee. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little compilation. Please write down in the comments which mysterious coincidence you liked the most. And if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss my future uploads. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next video.